The crystal chandeliers cast warm golden light across the mahogany dining room of Marmont, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. Noah Matthews stood frozen in the doorway, his calloused hands gripping his 7-year-old daughter Mia's small fingers. The hostess, a woman in her 30s with perfectly styled hair and a practiced smile, looked him up and down with barely concealed disdain. "Sir, I'm afraid we have a strict dress code," she said, her voice carrying the kind of polite coldness that felt like a slap. "We require jackets for gentlemen, and—" Her eyes lingered on Mia's simple light blue dress and the small gray elephant clutched in her arms. "This establishment doesn't typically accommodate children." Noah felt his cheeks burn. He'd saved for 3 months to bring Mia here for her birthday, remembering how his late wife Sarah had once dreamed of dining at this very restaurant. The white t-shirt and jeans he wore were his best clothes, clearly not enough for this gilded world. "Please," Noah said quietly, his voice steady despite the humiliation. "It's my daughter's birthday. Her mother passed away 2 years ago, and she always talked about this place. I made a reservation weeks ago. I didn't know about the dress code." The hostess's expression didn't soften. "I'm sorry, but rules are rules. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the family restaurant down the street." Mia looked up at her father, her brown eyes wide with confusion. She didn't fully understand what was happening, but she could feel the tension in the air. She hugged her elephant tighter, a gift from her mother that never left her side. From across the dining room, Ava Sinclair had been watching the entire exchange. At 34, she was a woman of quiet elegance, her auburn hair swept into a perfect chignon, pearl earrings catching the light. She wore a deep burgundy evening dress that spoke of understated wealth and refined taste. Ava had been dining alone, as she had for the past 3 years since her husband's death. When something about the father and daughter's interaction caught her attention, she watched as Noah gently knelt beside Mia, whispering something in her ear that made her nod bravely. The tenderness in his gesture, the way he put his daughter's feelings before his own embarrassment, stirred something deep in Ava's heart. She thought of her own daughter, lost to distance and busy lives, and felt a familiar ache of loneliness rising. Gracefully from her table, Ava approached the hostess station. Her heels clicked softly against the polished floor as conversations quieted around her. People recognized her, the widow of prominent businessman James Sinclair, a woman whose charitable foundations had touched countless lives. "Excuse me," Ava said, her voice carrying the authority that came with both wealth and genuine kindness. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." The hostess turned, her demeanor changing instantly. "Mrs. Sinclair, how lovely to see you again. Is everything all right with your meal?" "Everything is perfect, thank you. However, I'd like to invite this gentleman and his daughter to join me at my table. You see, I've been dining alone, and nothing would make me happier than some company on such a beautiful evening." Noah looked up in surprise, meeting Ava's warm smile. There was something in her eyes, a gentle understanding that made him feel seen rather than judged. Mia peeked out from behind her father's leg, curious about this elegant woman who had appeared like something from a fairy tale. "Ma'am, I don't think," Noah began, but Ava held up a gentle hand. "Please, I insist." "And what's your name, sweetheart?" she asked, crouching down to Mia's level with surprising grace. "I'm Mia," the little girl whispered, then added proudly, "and this is Elephant. It's my birthday today. I'm 7. Ava's eyes sparkled with genuine delight. 7 years old. That's a very important birthday indeed. And Elephant is absolutely beautiful. You know, I had a stuffed rabbit when I was your age. His name was Buttons, and he went everywhere with me." The hostess looked flustered, clearly torn between her establishment's policies and the wishes of one of their most valued patrons. Ava noticed her hesitation and smiled with the kind of warmth that could melt winter frost. "I think we can make an exception this evening, don't you think, Margaret?" Ava said, addressing the hostess by name. After all, birthdays are meant to be celebrated. With gracious efficiency, the hostess led them to Ava's table by the window, where the city lights twinkled like stars beyond the glass. Noah helped Mia into her chair, still overwhelmed by this unexpected turn of events. The white linens and gold accents of the table setting gleamed in the soft light, and Mia's eyes were wide with wonder. "Mrs.?" Noah began, realizing he didn't Know his benefactor's name. Ava, please. Just Ava. And you're Noah, I presume? I heard you mention your name to the hostess. Noah nodded, still feeling like he was in a dream. I can't thank you enough for this. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, Ava replied, settling into her chair with the easy confidence of someone comfortable in her own skin. Sometimes we all need a little kindness from strangers. Besides, I meant what I said about enjoying the company. It's been far too long since I've had dinner with such charming companions. The waiter appeared, professional and courteous, any earlier judgment replaced by seamless service. Ava ordered a special birthday dessert for Mia and helped Noah navigate the extensive menu with gentle suggestions, never once making him feel out of place. As they waited for their meals, Ava asked about Mia's school, her favorite subjects, and her dreams. The little girl, initially shy, began to open up under Ava's patient attention. She told stories about her teacher, her best friend Emma, and how she wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up so she could help animals like elephant. That's a wonderful dream, Ava said sincerely. You know, I have a friend who's a veterinarian. She says it's one of the most rewarding jobs in the world because you get to help creatures who can't help themselves. Noah watched this interaction with growing amazement. It had been so long since anyone had shown such genuine interest in his daughter's world. Since Sarah's death, it had been just the two of them against the world, and while he loved Mia fiercely, he sometimes worried about the things he couldn't give her, the mother's touch, the feminine perspective, the social connections that came so naturally to other families. What about you, Noah? Ava asked, turning her attention to him. What do you do? Noah hesitated for a moment, then decided on honesty. I'm a carpenter. I do mostly residential work, some renovations. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. And it allows me to have a flexible schedule for Mia. A carpenter, Ava repeated thoughtfully. How wonderful. There's something so beautiful about creating things with your hands, building homes where families will make memories. My late husband always said that the people who work with their hands are the ones who truly build the world. Noah felt a warmth spread through his chest at her words. Too often, he'd felt judged for his blue-collar profession, especially in situations like this. But Ava spoke with such genuine respect that he found himself sitting a little straighter. Their meals arrived, beautifully presented dishes that looked more like art than food. Mia's eyes widened at the colorful array on her plate, and Ava gently showed her how to use the proper silverware without making her feel self-conscious. You know, Ava said as they began to eat, I lost my husband 3 years ago. James was a wonderful man, but he was often traveling for business. I sometimes wonder if I spend enough time really listening to him, really seeing him. Being here with you two tonight reminds me of what I might have missed. Noah looked up from his plate, seeing the sadness that flickered briefly across Ava's features. I'm sorry for your loss. Losing a spouse, it changes everything, doesn't it? Ava nodded, her fingers unconsciously touching the wedding ring she still wore. It does. But you know what I've learned? The love doesn't disappear. It just finds new ways to express itself. Sometimes it's in the kindness we show strangers, sometimes it's in the way we honor their memory by living fully. They talked throughout the meal about loss and healing, about the challenges of raising children, about dreams deferred and hopes rekindled. Noah found himself sharing stories about Sarah, about their courtship, their marriage, and the devastating cancer diagnosis that had changed everything. Ava listened with the kind of presence that made him feel heard, understood. She sounds like she was an amazing woman, Ava said softly. And she would be so proud of the father you've become. I can see it in the way Mia looks at you, the way she trusts you completely. That kind of security doesn't happen by accident. As the evening progressed, something magical happened. The three of them began to feel like a family, connected by shared laughter, gentle conversations, and the simple pleasure of good food shared with good company. Mia colored on the paper placemat with crayons that Ava had somehow procured from the staff, while the adults talked about books, movies, and the small joys that made life worth living. When the birthday dessert arrived, a small cake with a single candle, the entire restaurant seemed to pause. Other diners, who had initially whispered about the unusual trio, now watched with warm smiles as Mia made her wish and blew out the candle. The applause that followed was spontaneous and Heartfelt. What did you wish for, sweetheart? Ava asked. Mia looked at her father, then at Ava, then down at Elephant in her lap. I wished for Mommy to know that I'm happy, she said simply. And I wished for more friends like you, Miss Ava. The words hit both adults with unexpected force. Ava felt tears spring to her eyes, and Noah had to clear his throat several times before he could speak. That's a beautiful wish, baby, Noah managed to say, his voice thick with emotion. As the evening wound down, Ava insisted on paying the bill, waving away Noah's protests with gentle firmness. This has been the most wonderful birthday celebration I've attended in years, she said. The pleasure was entirely mine. They walked together toward the restaurant's entrance, Mia skipping between the two adults, her elephant swinging in her hand. At the door, they paused, none of them quite ready for the evening to end. Noah, Ava said, pulling a business card from her purse. I hope this doesn't seem presumptuous, but I'd love to stay in touch. Perhaps Mia would enjoy visiting my garden sometime. I have a pond with goldfish that might interest a future veterinarian. Noah took the card, reading the elegant script, Ava Sinclair, Sinclair Foundation. He looked up in surprise. You're that Ava Sinclair? The foundation that built the new children's wing at General Hospital. Ava smiled, a slight blush coloring her cheeks. Among other things, yes. But tonight, I'm just Ava, someone who had the privilege of celebrating a very special little girl's birthday. They exchanged contact information, and as they stepped outside into the cool evening air, Noah realized that something fundamental had shifted. For the first time in 2 years, he didn't feel alone in the world. Not because Ava had money or connections, but because she had seen him, really seen him, and found him worthy of her friendship. 3 weeks later, Noah's phone rang as he was finishing up a kitchen renovation. Ava's name appeared on the screen, and he answered with a smile. Noah, I hope I'm not calling at a bad time, her familiar voice said. I have a proposition for you. I'm renovating the children's center at the foundation, and I'm looking for a carpenter who understands that buildings aren't just structures, they're places where lives unfold. Would you be interested in discussing the project? Noah set down his hammer, his heart racing. Ava, I don't know what to say. Are you sure? I'm absolutely certain. Your work comes highly recommended, and more importantly, I trust you. Plus, the project manager position comes with excellent benefits, including health insurance and a college fund contribution for Mia. That Saturday, Noah and Mia visited Ava's house for the first time. The garden was everything she had promised, a peaceful oasis with winding paths, colorful flowers, and a crystal-clear pond where fat goldfish swam lazily in the afternoon sun. Mia was enchanted, and even Elephant seemed to approve of their new friend. Over the following months, their friendship deepened into something neither had expected. Ava became a regular fixture in their lives, attending Mia's school plays, helping with homework, and providing the kind of gentle feminine guidance that Noah had worried his daughter was missing. In return, Noah and Mia filled the quiet spaces in Ava's life with laughter, purpose, and the daily joys of an active family. The Children's Center project became Noah's masterpiece. He poured his heart into every detail, creating spaces that were both beautiful and functional, warm and welcoming. Ava watched with growing admiration as he transformed architectural plans into reality, always keeping the children who would use the space at the center of every decision. One evening, as they sat in Ava's garden watching Mia play with the goldfish, Noah turned to her with wonder in his voice. That night at the restaurant, when you invited us to your table, did you know what would happen? How much it would change our lives? Ava considered the question, watching as Mia named each fish and told them elaborate stories about their underwater adventures. I knew that a little girl was about to have her birthday celebration ruined by small-minded people. I knew that a good father was being humiliated for the crime of not having the right clothes. But did I know it would lead to this? She gestured around them, encompassing the garden, the friendship, the sense of family they had built together. No, I had no idea. Sometimes the most important moments in our lives start with the smallest acts of kindness. Noah nodded, understanding something profound about the way life works. Sarah used to say that angels don't always have wings. Sometimes they just have the courage to see when someone needs help. Your Sarah sounds like she was a very wise woman, Ava said softly. I think she would approve of how this story has unfolded. As the sun set behind the trees, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, the three of them sat together in comfortable silence. Mia had fallen asleep in Ava's lap, Elephant clutched securely in her arms, while Noah and Ava watched the stars begin to appear in the darkening sky. They had found something rare and precious, a family formed not by blood or marriage, but by choice, kindness, and the simple recognition that we all need each other. In a world that often seemed determined to divide people by class, wealth, and status, they had discovered that the most important things, love, respect, and genuine care for one another, couldn't be bought or sold. The restaurant where their story began still stood in the heart of the city, its crystal chandeliers still casting warm light over expensive meals and important conversations. But for Noah, Mia, and Ava, it would always be remembered as the place where kindness conquered prejudice, where a simple invitation to share a meal had transformed three lives forever. Sometimes, the most beautiful stories begin with the most unexpected chapters. And sometimes, all it takes is one person willing to see past the surface, to recognize the common humanity that connects us all, and to extend a hand in friendship to those who need it most. In the end, that's what love really is, not just romance or family bonds, but the daily choice to see the worth in another person and to treat them with the dignity they deserve. It's the recognition that we are all walking each other home, and that the journey is so much sweeter when we don't have to walk it alone.